African Quartz has pledged 1.5 billion rand for the establishment of a solar manufacturing plant in Saldanha Bay Industrial Development Zone. The local solar manufacturer attended the 4th South African Investment Conference hosted by President Cyril Ramaphosa last week. For more on this initiative, we are joined by the founding director of African Quartz, Dennis George. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. It's been a while. Maybe just speak to us about what your company is all about and what the sole aim is out of this company.
Yes, look, our research indicated that the biggest challenge that the country faces is that we need energy and we need electricity, and the government has announced a massive plan to move to renewable energies. The problem, however, was that we've always imported these products from overseas. And when you import products from overseas, it means that you are creating jobs in that country where you import those products from. And with our high unemployment in this country, we started to speak to our investors, which are mostly retirement funds, and because these are long-term investments. And they agree with us, and that's the reason why they decided to invest in African Quartz. And we have also made an agreement with government to establish the plant in the Saldanha Bay Industrial Development Zone. That will also help the country to create jobs, not only just in the local cities, but also in the rural areas.
We'll speak about jobs and skills development just now, but maybe speak to us about the kind of investment that you pledged at the 4th Investment Conference, and when we are actually going to see the fruits of this, because there's a lot of criticism that there's investment conference after investment conference, but we don't actually see the fruits of this. So tell us how much you're investing and when we can actually see the growth and what comes out of this.
Yes, so our company is basically a vertical integrated company. With the one part is manufacturing, where we manufacture the solar panels, and the other part is where we do the development, where we, for instance, would install a solar farm for a municipality, and that can be anything from 100 megawatts, to 2,000 megawatts, which is quite big.
But it's not just going to be focused in Saldanha Bay.
No.
Be able to...
We're going to manufacture in Saldanha Bay, but even a municipality, for instance, in Cape Town, want us to put up a solar plant for them and connect that plant to the grid. That is what our work is going to be like. So we are vertically integrated, and the plant is already ready to be set up. What is very critical for us, the building has already been secured. The government have set up a building for 5,500 square meters. The plant is going to operate 3 shifts a day because the technology is extremely expensive. So we can't work 8 to 5. We have to work 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week, 350 days a year, because the plant has to run continuously with the manufacturing of these solar panels. But we've also already got orders from African countries, such as Ghana, and also Malawi. So we see our market as an African company working in line with the government, also with the African Free Trade Agreement, because anything that we manufacture in South Africa, we can export it to other African countries on the basis of the Free Trade Agreement.
So when do you start?
We're starting now in the next 8 months, because the equipment comes in from overseas. The equipment will be set up, then we will go to the first phase, that is to train our people, because nobody has worked on those particular plants yet. And then the kind of people that we'll be employing is engineering people, operators, loading people, and so on. So we are very excited about this particular project, and we're also looking to employ more people from the rural areas. So that is something very critical for South Africa. And we think, from our side, we have also commissioned 5 more studies, because some of the products we unfortunately have to import to make the panels. We want to go down the value stream so that we can make the cells in South Africa, and we also want to make the wafers and also the silicon. So those things will create more jobs, and the investors are very serious and keen, because they look to invest in long-term products, like a company like Sasol. When South Africa had a problem with the import of fuel many years ago, they decided they're going to take coal and they're going to beneficiate it into fuel. And that company has brought in a lot of money for the country, and it also saved the country a lot of money from importing less fuel. And energy is a very important, critical part of the economy.
And we have the sun, so we should use it, because a lot of people say, why do we even have load shedding? Because, you know, there is another option for us. I want us to quickly speak about the kinds of jobs that you are expecting to create. We do know there's a very high unemployment rate at this stage. It's very concerning. Short-term and long-term, how many jobs are we looking at?
No, so in terms of the jobs that we're creating is the jobs in the manufacturing plant itself, okay? Then there's also jobs that we will create for entrepreneurs. So let's say there's a person living in Bloemfontein, and he wants to set up his installation business, where he wants to start his own business. He wants to install it in people's houses, because those people don't want to be on the grid anymore. So they can then install it, they can put it on the people's grid, and they can disconnect from the grid, because if they have battery power, because in the evening you only need batteries to watch television and to watch Wi-Fi, to use Wi-Fi and electricity. And so that is a very worthwhile thing. And you pay the thing off actually in 5 years' time that you can do that. And then there's companies like the shopping center malls. Most of their roofs are flat, and they spend a huge amount of money, and they mostly open during the day. You know, so that electricity saving that they're doing, and with ESCOM and the municipalities, they're continuously increasing the electricity tariffs. And what's going to happen is this: once you've paid for your equipment, it's your equipment, and our panels are manufactured to last for 25 years, and that's what we guarantee for them.
Are you able to give me a number of the job creation?
Yes, no, we're looking in the manufacturing plant, we're looking to create 200 jobs. And then outside of the company, that's where we can create more jobs, because the market is big. You know, so if people want to invest in their own small businesses, they will employ installers, and they will also employ people that connect the system to the grid. So we're expecting also another about 1,000 jobs can be created outside of the company. And then when we're going to do the utility scale installations for municipalities or for firms, or we go in a partnership with ESCOM, because many people in South Africa are not connected to the grid, because they are living far away from the grid, and it's very expensive for ESCOM to put the electrical cable from one area to that area. So in that case, we can put up a solar plant for them, a farm in that area, connect them together. And even some of our rural people that struggle to carry water from rivers.
Yeah, I was going to actually ask you, should that not also be moved over to water?
That can really help, because people need to circulate water. South Africa is a dry country. So the opportunities for our company is huge, but what we think is important is that we need to move down the value stream. And in that areas we can create more jobs, and we can create more wealth for the country.
I want us to quickly speak about skills transfer, because it's all good and well to have these huge investments and to create these jobs, but it's also important to upskill people and to skill people with the necessary skills that they need to be in a job environment and in the job markets. What kind of skills can we see coming out of this investment and your company?
Look, a plant like this is quite sophisticated. You know, so once a day we stop the plant for 1 hour. That is when we do maintenance with our engineers. And our operational staff will have to do maintenance. And then we have our operators. They have to operate those plants 24 hours a day. Then we have quality control people, because every panel that we guarantee have to be tested in the factory before it can leave the plant. So it will be quite high level. And then it's your administrative staff that we will employ, but also we will also employ marketing staff, because, obviously we need to market our product, and we make it accessible to the people in the public out there.
Are you looking to invest more, or are we just capping it at 1.5? I mean, not that 1.5 billion is small change, but...
No. Look, it's a huge investment. I mean, if you look, some of the other companies that was at the conference, they're talking about investments of 15 billion rand. I mean, look at Anglo American. They're looking to invest over a period of 3-4 years, something like 25 billion rand. So the whole thing with this investment conference, because it starts small, and then it starts to pick up. But you look at for yourself, a country like China, which was a communist country, and in a period of 35 to 50 years, they left out so many people out of poverty. And they are a communist country, and what they actually said to themselves is that they've got like capitalism with the socialist characteristic. You know, so people redefine this thing of capitalism and so on. In our case, we're not too concerned about what we call it, but we want to work closely with our stakeholders, which is our investors. They are largely pension funds, because remember, they want to invest for the long term. They get more money and returns from us than what they get from interest. That's the reason why they're quite excited to invest in projects like these. And then secondly is the issue also in terms of the next phase that we want to do is the cell. So the cell costs about 65% of the cost of a solar panel. And that is something that we have to currently import. But what we want to do, and we've been speaking to government, is we want to also manufacture the cells locally. Now there's 3 universities in Cape Town. There's the University of Western Cape, there's the University of Stellenbosch, and then there's the University of Cape Town, UCT. So what we want to make an agreement with them, because you see the technology that we use today, we want those master students to come and do research in our factory and in our labs to come and see how we can improve on what the output of the solar panels are delivering now. And those young people are people with brilliant ideas. We need to give them opportunity to do the research so that we can improve on the efficiency of the solar panels and also other technologies and other components. It's the same like you find in the motor car industry. In the motor car industry, it's Mercedes-Benz on the outside, but many of the components are manufactured locally by small businesses and people that feed into the system.
Just lastly, Mr. George, maybe speak to us about why you decided to invest so much, because the reason why I ask this is at the end of the investment conference you had the Minister Patel speaking about how you had some companies actually pulling out because of specific concerns like corruption, crime, the electricity problem, which now you have seen a market in. Your relationship and partnership with government, has it been a positive one, and this is why you've decided to invest so much?
No. You see, the President announced in his State of the Nation address, he said that government realized that they have to create a conducive environment for the private sector to come and invest. And you mentioned the fact of government enterprises like SAA and the NEL, they are actually collapsing because of corporate governance, okay? And our take is this, I mean, our investors put huge amounts of money into our trust, but they're not only leaving it there, they also appoint certain people on our board, like chief financial officers and stuff like that, because we have to look after the money together. And what is important for us is that government has provided us with certain tax incentives because we're putting ourselves up in a special economic zone. That's exactly the same model that China used. And so companies from the US flooded to China. And they brought not only their money, but they brought their skills and they brought the technology. But another point that is very important, investors want to bring their money into a country. But if they feel they want to move their money out of the country, they don't want people to have hassles because they've already paid taxes, they pay their workers, they've done their things. So therefore, they must be able to move their profits, you know, back to the source of original. But in South Africa, we also have pension funds that also have to invest here. So the investment market is quite secure. All that they're looking for is that environment that government must create.
Definitely. I think that's very crucial. And I think that came out in the investment conference. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming through. That's Dennis George, who's the CEO of African Quartz, speaking to